Hey there, it's Narcissist Ninjas. It's been a while. I haven't been feeling great. I thought I had the big monster C, COVID, but thank goodness after a few tests, I don't have it. Simple chest cold, excuse me. And you know what? I don't think I've ever felt so blessed to have a cold in my life before. And it was long before the COVID crisis that I had my last one. So, hey, I'm still here to talk about it, right? So I'm going to break down a little bit of the relationship to narcissism in the case with Gabby Petito. Of course, we cannot go really deeply into it yet because it's still an active case. But, I have no doubt in my mind that this was a result of narcissism gone wrong, as most of these cases are. And what the people in the general public who have never experienced this in their life, looking from the outside, looking in, just don't seem to understand how this evolves, how the subtle behaviors and how you can identify narcissists. Even if you are not up close and personal with them, you can start to look into their behaviors and to analyze in a very short time. For some of us who have been around narcissism a lot and have been in the throes of different situations, we can see it very quickly. And it's very disheartening when we realize that other people don't see what we see. And not only that, but people that are in the field and in the front lines of this stuff and have to make calls and assess situations, they are just not getting it. They're not understanding the process, and they are not understanding the subtleties of abuse and victims. So I am sure that you are aware of the case. Not many people are not aware of the case that's going on where a young, I think she was 21 years old, went off on a magical trip with her boyfriend. And he came back with her van, and so she's gone. And they found her murdered body where the van was last saw on their camping trip. Now, he's disappeared as well. The whole thing, I've never seen anything like this one. The fiasco, the drama, the lack of movement on the part of the law enforcement in the beginning, and the mistakes that were made are just absolutely stunning and makes you wonder who is training these people. I am not going to go into much detail. I'm just here to give a little minor commentary about what I believe, how narcissism is related to it. I might, if I get the energy and the gumption to talk about how the police handle this case and how all the twists and turns in the law enforcement that I think were absolutely disgusting. I might do a video on that sometime. Oh, a bird just flew by my head. Yeah, right. So anyway, this guy you see right here, Brian, some people think he's offed himself. To be honest with you, I don't think that is the case. It's very rare that a narcissist commits suicide. Now, in this case where he's backed so much into a corner and he might not be able to see that he can manipulate his way out. I guess it's possible, because that sometimes narcissists do that. If they feel there is no way that they can manipulate their way out of a situation anymore, they will. It has been known that they commit suicide, but it's a rare thing. Narcissists have this thing about their value, and they often do not use suicide as a way to cope with, unless they're massively into drugs or something like that. There's, of course, all kinds of different cases, but to be honest with you, I don't know. This guy seems like he's one of these that thinks he's smarter than the police. The new interview room situation where there's someone on a Twitter account communicating with the retired policeman up on the interview room. That's tricky. That's really odd. I'm watching that with like a hawk. That is really odd. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to the interview room. I'm not going to post it here, because guess what? Even though I have a lot of faith in that channel and the people that run it, I feel something's fishy here, and it's not 100% verified, so I'm not going to be linking that quite yet. But it is something to check out. It's so interesting because the retired policeman seems to think that he is in communication with Brian on a Twitter account. And it really looks like real. It really does. And it would solidify this narcissism, and for sure. Just seeing the way that the parents have handled this case as well is mind-boggling. Totally mind-boggling. One of the unusual parts of the case is, like I said, about the parents who are basically using a silent treatment in this manner of not speaking to the press, not speaking. Now, of course, everyone has a right to remain silent, right? And everyone has a right to be innocent until proven guilty. However, just think about if you had a loved one that went missing and you refused to cooperate under these circumstances in particular. How weird is that? Anything that's weird in situations like this can often be attributed to narcissism. And what it is, it's when you can't understand a behavior and it just makes absolutely no sense to the normal person. Usually there's an underlying pathology going on, because the reason it's so confusing for the rest of the world is because it's not from a normal mind, right? Normal people would want to contribute and help and find a missing person that was so-called a part of their families, right? We look at that, and there is a form of silent treatment that's used by narcissists, and I will see if I can find some information about it and link it up here. It's an actual tactic that they use to control. And whether it's in a personal private relationship, whether it's with the media, whatever, this could be very much that tactic in play, right before our eyes. Also, this thing about fraud, I wrote an article in my blog on narcissists and fraud that you can see right here, narcissistninjas.com. I wrote an article about fraud because fraud is one of the, if you find someone who is committing fraud on a regular basis, it is, excuse me, highly linked to, that behavior is highly linked to narcissism as well. And it's what it does is it proves the essence of narcissists who feel so entitled. And you look at this particular guy right here, he felt entitled to his girlfriend's car, his girlfriend's money. There's even a talk about when he went into a restaurant and just, made a stink because the bill was too high for him, and he went into a rage. So that tells me that he's highly entitled. And even when you look at the interaction with the police in their when they were pulled over by the police, you can tell just his demeanor gives that essence to me. Anyway, I saw right through it and could see he feels entitled. Like, okay, when someone has that persona of entitlement, and he knows how to manipulate the system, guess what happens with people like that? They get what they want. They get what they want. Narcissists get what they want through manipulation, because of their sense of entitlement, and because it's so high, they just get what they want. And then the rest of us, a lot of people end up, then you get people like Gabby, who was left without resources. And even though the resources were her own, now, if she had only taken her car that night and just went home or went somewhere away from him and called home and admitted, but then you wonder, what was the relationship with her family? I'm sorry people are grieving, but the truth has to come out here for it to get better, things to get better, this crap to stop, for people to feel like they aren't worth enough to be in a healthy relationship, or feel that that's acceptable. Where did that message come from? Okay, it comes from our society in general, yeah. But I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that theory. And this right here, people, explains it perfectly. And something else I heard the other day, which was very could relate to this situation, was that narcissists promise you a dream and deliver a nightmare. Poor Gabby. She was just trying to make the world a better place. The way I look at this, if you don't know how to raise kids, or you've been so damaged that you're bringing the kids in to try to heal yourself, or just because you're selfish and think you need to have offspring, knock it off. I look at my own situation, and not everyone's going to be as extreme as I was. I chose not to have kids because of my past. When I found my natural mother and saw what the gene pool was like on that side, then ran into the father and saw what the gene pool was on that side. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some really interesting things, especially on my father's side, there were political affiliations, and there were some really neat things. But when I looked overall at the personality and the different behaviors that were in both family systems, I was only in my 20s, but I decided right there and then to not perpetuate this cycle in my gene pool. I said, I'm not having kids. I am not making this gene pool continue. When I die, it stops. I am not continuing. I'm not letting it continue past my gene pool. Now, that sounds drastic, and some people have said it's very radical in my life, but I don't feel that. I feel it was the responsible, sane choice, being put into foster care, seeing where I really came from, and not wanting to perpetuate that cycle onto any other kid. And I am not the only one. Some people are so damn selfish, they won't say that. I sacrificed my love because I love kids. I absolutely adore kids. But I sacrificed not having them because I knew that things were screwy in my family, both in my gene pool and in my psychology. So I cared enough not to have kids. So some of these people that are raising these narcissistic monsters need to stop. Just stop the cycle. Stop having kids.
Are you all my personal dreams?